I don't know if you can see me, I really can't tell. But hi, I'm starting my dissection, and yeah, I have the procedure paper, so that's what I'm playing with if I play with paper. But here we go. Oh, it's Natalie Bennett, by the way. So these, here, actually I'm going to point you down so you can see it better. There's my brain and my little dissecting tray, and yeah, let's do this. So these are there's two cerebrums, and they contain all the lobes that we have in our brain. I'm gonna cut off the cerebral matter, or like the meninges on the outside, just so I can get in there better. Because I think they're still on here. Let's see. Yeah, they're still on here. The meninges are the 3 layers that cover the brain and protect it. Have all like the blood vessels and everything in it. Let's see if I can get it off. Dear Lord, this is really stuck on there. But this is the frontal lobe right here. Then this is the parietal lobe in the middle. And then back here is the occipital lobe. It kind of is like this little back portion. And then this is the temporal lobe. And then the frontal lobe controls motor functions. The parietal lobe, here, let me point at this. The parietal lobe, which is like this section right here, receives and processes, wow, somatic sensory functions, and then the temporal lobe down here receives auditory sensations, and then the occipital lobe back here, which is in the back of the brain, or the posterior part of the brain, receives and processes information from the eyes. And then down here, let's cut some more off. And then this is the optic chiasm, this little X thing, which is where the optic nerves come in. And the optic nerves are the nerves that receive our visual senses and what we are seeing through our eyes. Let's see if I can get all this off. This is the cerebellum, this little section on the back side of the brain, and it controls movement and balance. What else? On the inside, once we get in, it has and then let's see. This is the medulla, and then this is the pons. The medulla contains centers for like heart rate, and it controls blood pressure, respiration, and then all your I guess functions that it's like sneezing and coughing and your reactions to things. The pons is anterior to the medulla, so in front of it, and it contains nerves that connect the cerebrum to parts of the brain and the spinal cord. So this whole thing to the spinal cord, and then this whole thing is the brain stem. And then let's see, this is the brain stem. Let's see. Again, this is the optic chiasm. It says pull. Cut through now. I'm going to cut the brain in half. Down the medial longitudinal fissure. Right down the middle. Kind of gotta separate it a little bit. Okay, so I'm checking to see if you can see it. So the fourth ventricle is down here in between the brainstem and the cerebellum, and this is what protects the brain from trauma and also helps form the central canal down the brainstem. And then the third ventricle is up here, kind of in the middle, above the thalamus, and this is the main place where it produces and secretes cerebrospinal fluid, so CSF. And then this, as you can see, is the medulla, and then the pons over here. The pons. No, medulla, pons, and the midbrain. The midbrain is the part between the hypothalamus and the thalamus, and it is associated with the central nervous system and helps with hearing and like vision and your internal body clock and just overall motor control. The hypothalamus is right here in this section. I think it's this little, yeah, right here. And the hypothalamus is responsible for regulating like the body and its internal homeostasis by controlling the body temperature and just everyday like functions that we don't think about. This is the thalamus, and the thalamus is where all of our information gets sent to as soon as we get it, and send it up to the brain, and then it sends out where it needs to go in the brain to relay its function and work in your body. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if we can find some choroid plexus. There's a little more stuff on this side. Oh, I will come back to the choroid plexus. I want to show you the corpus callosum, which is this white matter right here. This one that kind of like makes like a oval kind of thing. And it is a large band of nervous tissue that connects the two cerebral hemispheres together when it is like this. And yeah, let's see. This little hump on the back, here, this side shows it better. is the penile body, this one right here. And the penile body is responsible, well, it's an endocrine gland, it's responsible, that secretes melatonin, which helps us sleep. And it's on the roof of the third ventricle, if I can find it. Yeah. Here's the choroid plexus. It's like this rough patch above the third ventricle, and the choroid plexus, get it open more for you to see it, right here, is a network of capillaries, so like blood vessels and blood tissue, that helps produce cerebrospinal fluid, so CSF. Let's see if I can. Yeah, so it's in here. It's kind of like spider web looking. Yeah. Really hope you're able to see all this, because if not, let's see. There's also the cerebral aqueduct, which connects the third and fourth ventricles, so that's right here. And the third ventricle is obviously right here above the hypothalamus, and then the fourth ventricle is back here, and right here is the cerebral aqueduct, and that connects the two together to help CSF move throughout the brain. Once again, thalamus, hypothalamus, the penile body, midbrain, which is in between the two, and then the pons, the medulla, your spinal cord. Your spinal cord, I have not said this yet, is what transmit communication between the brain and the rest of your body, and then goes down into the spine, and then sends out all the signals through the cranial nerves and down the neck through the body. The olfactory bulb, which is up here, which I may need to cut some more of the choroid plexus off. Here we go, it's right here. The olfactory bulb is right here. And the olfactory bulb is where olfactory nerves can sense smell, and that's how it is received through the brain. Because with the sheep, this is the anterior side, this is the posterior side, and their eyes and their nose are up here, and then everything goes down, and their spine is back, and continues down the posterior side of the animal. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else, but cerebellum, cerebrum, frontal lobe, parietal lobe, the temporal lobe is on this outside, the occipital lobe is back here, the optic chiasm, which I cut in half, which is where the optic nerve comes in, cerebellum, controls motor movements and, wow, balance, the medulla, the pons, the midbrain, right here, thalamus, hypothalamus, the olfactory bulb, which is up here on this one, it's easier to see, right here, the corpus callosum, which is this in the middle that's kind of moving around, and then the third ventricle, which is up here, the fourth ventricle, which is back here, the cerebral aqueduct, which connects the two, the choroid plexus, which is on the roof of this third aqueduct, which are these little, I broke them, but what's on my pointer, and then the thalamus, which I already point out, and oh yeah, the penile body, which secretes melatonin. But thank you. Hopefully this was good enough quality and informative and you can see everything, but thanks.